use your God power to get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin. What can we learn from those who have out-of-body experiences? An OBE is an out-of-body experience. OBEs have been well documented throughout history, but only have been studied more closely in recent times. They are closely linked to the near-death experience in that they have very similar characteristics. With the OBE, the person is not dead, nor are they in any sort of distress. Usually, they are sleeping when they suddenly find themselves floating near the ceiling. While it is a surprise the first time that it happens, the experience is usually deliberately planned. In the next video example, Charles Tart sets up a scientific experiment to prove that OBEs, out-of-body experiences, are real. Video example, Charles Tart, experimenter, Miss Z's story. What is this video about? In 1978, Dr. Charles Tart, psychologist, University of California, was conducting some sleep experiments where he was hoping to gather evidence of an out-of-body experience, an OBE. His subject, known only as Miss Z, was having regular OBEs, out-of-body experiences, and was the perfect candidate for his experiments. While in the state of dreaming, she would find herself around the ceiling looking down at her own body. Dr. Charles Tart set up an elaborate system of EEG wires to her head and various other systems to monitor her brain waves during these episodes. At the time she was in her out-of-body state, she showed very unusual patterns in her brainwave activity, unlike anything he had ever seen before. He devised a plan of choosing a random 5-digit number and placing it high up on a shelf so that there was no way that she could see it. She had several OBEs, out-of-body experiences, and said that she was unable to maneuver her out-of-body self over to see the numbers. However, one night, she had the same brain activity as before, indicating she had left her body, and this time she successfully observed the number from high above it. She saw 25132. That number is now famous, as it was the first experimentally documented evidence of an OBE. What does this example show, and what does it mean? This video example shows that a person can separate from their physical body and still have the ability to see, think, and move about. It is important to say again, the mind is where everything is really going on, and the brain is where it displays itself in the physical reality. Like the example of the computer music player, when a certain chemical process is going on in the brain, it is just a representation of what the mind is doing in a non-physical way somewhere else.
For best results, pause this video at this point here, and watch the video example mentioned in the segment. The links are located in the book chapter, and at the end of the book. If you are watching this online, you will find the link for this video example listed in the notes section. Then, after watching the associated video example, continue watching this video from here.
What do these examples show us about how we really function? This video example brings us back to our other video example of the cabbage who knew the killer back in Chapter 5, Resonance. How could the cabbage act in a way that is consistent with someone with a brain when we know that plants have no brains? This shows the higher order of functioning where everything really happens. The plant doesn't represent itself as having a brain, nor does the water, but both are able to respond to meaning. In the same way that a human doesn't need a physically represented eye to see, the plant doesn't need a physically represented brain to think and respond, and so they do anyway. As I have already explained, the thinking and seeing is happening in the non-physical energy realm. We are only now discovering that every single thing that is possible doesn't necessarily have a physical representation that easily justifies and explains it. While our technology may never be able to justify the non-physical realm and the reality of reality, we can easily infer certain facts from what we have observed. The cabbage plant reacted to the destruction of another cabbage plant, and not because of any harm that came to it personally. This reaction could be assumed to be due to the death of the other plant. This is an awareness which is a function of consciousness. However, in the second part of the experiment, we find that the plant is reacting to the specific human that destroyed the other plant. That is an obvious awareness of a possible threat to its well-being, even though none was offered. The threat was inferred by the plant based on what that specific human did to the other plant. That is clearly an example of a rational thought process. That is clearly the function of a consciousness in a life form. From this demonstration, we can clearly discern that rational thought and consciousness is not a function of a brain. And from that, we can infer if a plant is able to have conscious, rational thought without a brain, then our own conscious, rational thought must reside outside of our brains as well. Why would we keep our thinking and rational thought in our brains when a simple plant doesn't have to? So when we separate our being from our physical body in an out-of-body experience, we take with us all of our senses, memories, conscious ability, and rational thought. None of that is a function of the physical form. It is only represented there.
Options. Now activating the next video, play options. 1 moment please. Click on the green arrow to start watching the next video. Or, click on the red arrow to start watching the prior video. Or, click on the tan arrow to go to the main course menu and guide, with links to all course chapters, excerpts, and special reports. Up next, special video options. Click on your choice of course videos, menus, and excerpts. Now switching to the special video options menu and activating the video selection buttons. Click on your selection number to start watching the video. "15 seconds till we switch to the next page with the free download information. Pause the video now if you need more time to review the available selections. This is the end of this course video. Its video number is listed above. To watch the next video, simply click on the next video in number sequence. Thank you.